Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and other folks out there. Welcome back to Ross and Wizzy's Fanfiction Power Hour. I'm your host, Ross Pitt Shark Hunter, and over with me here today is Wizzy Puff. How the heck are you, Wizzy?
I'm doing pretty great.
Fantastic. And today, we're gonna be celebrating Pride Month, which we couldn't really do at first because we had to sort of get a few other episodes out.
Yeah, bad timing to come back and also wanting to celebrate Pride Month.
Yeah. They should just push Pride Month back a bit. This should just be Ross and Wizzy's Fanfiction Power Hour month, a national holiday.
I think the more preferable solution is make Pride Month last longer.
Don't be ridiculous, Wizzy. Wizzy's just spewing out nonsense again. Silly him.
Everyone would love it. No one would have a problem with
Silly him.
I get to be annoying for 3 whole months.
What a wacky guy. Alright, so yeah, this is our special Pride Month special, and since I don't really want to release normal episodes out of order, I guess, this is just gonna be called a bonus episode, no numbers. Wow!
Wow! Just like the other ones.
Happy Wednesday, everybody! Now we have to release it on a Wednesday.
Yep.
Alright, so this one and the next one are going to be out of order or something. Whatever. But today, to celebrate Pride Month, we're going to be reading Spike Comes Out by Rated Pony Star. It is, I don't know if you could tell this, but it's a gay Spike fan fiction. Spoiler alert, but the description reads, Twilight finds out that Spike is gay and they have a serious talk.
A very serious talk. Spike, you can't be gay. It's just against Celestia's word.
Right you are. And this one is, I can't remember if I said it, but this is written by Rated Pony Star, who I've actually had a few conversations with. Not many, but I've talked to him.
Oh, that's awesome. I just randomly found this.
Wacky. It was him that randomly found this. But yeah, I certainly wouldn't consider him like a friend, but I was going to ask him to do something for Pony Horror Abridged, which was my Abridged series, for My Little Pony, but that all got scrapped. Very unfortunate. But he actually does have another fanfiction that I wanted to read on this podcast, but we can't because it's so long. It's like 64,000 words. Ugh. And it's also about a child dying.
What? Children can't die in My Little Pony. Well, except for, frickin' what's her name? Abby? Who's the little girl who helps out the ponies?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Blonde overalls.
Oh, from G1.
Yeah.
The hell is her name? She died?
Nah, I was gonna make a joke, but then I couldn't remember her friggin' name. Mandy or something.
Unfortunately, Jack Getchman is not here to be a total G1 nerd about it. Gosh, I hope to eventually get Jack Getchman on this podcast, but he might cost money nowadays.
Ooh, going Hollywood, that guy?
He's famous now.
He's actually worked on G5.
Wouldn't surprise me. Alright, so glad that it's another gay fan fiction that we're reading. Not any other type of fan fiction. Always gotta be
Okay, I searched LGBT, I found one fic. I searched gay, and I find 3 pages. It's just easier.
You know there are groups for that sort of thing, right?
I don't know how to navigate this site. I barely could figure out how to set the word count and the view count.
There's groups. There's literally something that says groups on the top of the Fanfiction page.
And? That's not like it's easy to navigate. Like, what are these words? Philly Fooler? I've never heard of that.
Oh my god. Alright, so yes. Enough stalling. This is Spike Comes Out by Rated Pony Star.
The sound of the train leaving the station rang in Twilight's ears before she took a deep breath and inhaled the fresh smell of Ponyville that she had missed for so long. While having a chance to be an envoy for the zebra clans to learn about their culture and history was an exciting adventure, she was more relieved to be back home than anything else. Twilight Sparkle was really thankful that she had Zecora as a friend to accompany her. So there's more zebras? I thought Zecora was the only one.
Well, she's the only one in Ponyville that we know of, but there are definitely more zebras out there. It's not like she's an anomaly.
Oh, but we haven't seen them?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I guess she would be an anomaly in the pony world.
I just assumed that they hadn't been mentioned at all.
Or in the pony land.
Not only as the perfect translator for a language that she still had problems understanding, a challenge that she swore to conquer next time, but also to help her deal with the harsh conditions in the jungle and deserts that made up the zebra lands. The entire landscape was like one big ever-free forest, only with a much hotter climate. Rain that could not be seen for weeks until a monsoon came, and deadly predators, including some sapient plants that could swallow a pony whole. She made a mental note to actually request a squad of guards to accompany her next time. Still, despite the danger, it was a great trip with so much to see and learn that it made the scholar in Twilight giggle like a little school filly. Best of all, she had arrived 3 days earlier than the day she had announced in her last letter to her friends. Pinkie Pie was bound to have a surprise party the moment she heard.
Speaking of surprise parties, everybody, I forgot to mention, like I always do, I should really set up a list or something. Go down into the description and read the story for yourself. Or at the very least, you could always, give it a like a decent person.
Do you need an account to do that?
Probably, but it takes like 2 seconds to get an account.
2 seconds, guys.
2 seconds,
1 second
guys.
is for the password, 1 is for the username.
I have multiple Fanfiction accounts, because it's just so easy to make one.
Yeah, sometimes you forget your password and you're like, you know what? It's just easier to make a new account here at Fanfiction.
Exactly.
We're already new with that mysterious Pinkie sense, and alert the rest of their friends of her arrival. Of course, the first thing Twilight wanted to do was reintroduce herself to the modern way of life that she had to live without during her trip. Just the thought of refrigerated food, a warm shower, and a real bed not made out of straw was making her eager enough that she wanted to teleport just to get home quicker. Most importantly, though, no more mosquitoes. God.
Oh, thank heavens.
Can't stand them.
They're the worst.
She swore if another one of those insects bit her in the flank one more time, she was going to find a spell to erase them from the face of the planet.
Actually,
Jesus.
I believe in the Season 8 finale, it's revealed that she's able to... that magic actually wards off mosquitoes. Or they have, like, magic to ward off mosquitoes. And that's, of course, the episode where they lose their magic, obviously. And they have to, like, swat away the bugs with their tails.
Like a regular horse.
Yeah. I love it when they do that, when they're just like, yep, these things are still equines.
Aw, yeah.
I see that happiness lingers in your mind. 'Tis always coming home that is a joy most kind,
said Zecora, walking towards Twilight with her own baggage.
Yes, it really is nice to be back in Ponyville,
said Twilight, stretching her wings. She picked up her bags with her magic and asked,
Do you want to come to my place for some tea? It's the least I can do for all your help.
Zecora smiled, but shook her head.
Alas, this offer I cannot accept. You see, I wish to return to my home deep in Everfree, but perhaps another time, when I am settled in. I wish now to decorate my home with the gifts of my kin.
Yeah, but I don't think my gifts will suit my home well,
thought Twilight, sheepishly looking at the bag of presents the tribes had given her. While some were masks or statues, others were a bit more strange, like jars filled with the eyes and ears of predators their hunters had killed, talismans that they said would keep danger away, or the beetle necklaces, with actual live beetles with a wire through them that the zebras said would grant her wisdom. Ugh. I
Oh
would
my.
not wear that. I
Neither
couldn't
would
wear
I.
something like
Nope.
that.
Mm-mm.
The two travelers said their goodbyes before going their respective ways. Twilight was glad her house wasn't far from the station, as she couldn't wait to see the look on Spike's face when she got home. Although, she would be lying if she didn't admit she was worried something happened while she was gone. Despite having left him alone when he was a baby dragon, she never had been gone for as long as she had been those past 3 weeks. It took a few convincing arguments from her little brother that he was 16 now and could take care of himself. He's 16? What? Is this the future?
Yep.
Oh boy. Gonna have to deal with teenage Spike.
I know.
I mean, I guess that makes more sense for this kind of fic.
A nostalgic smile crept up Twilight's face as she remembered just how grown-up her once little dragon had become. He was now just as tall as the average stallion and had quite a bit of muscle tone on him that managed to attract quite a few mares his age. Of course, Twilight knew that Spike was still head over heels for Rarity, even after all these years.
No, he's not. Stop it.
Twilight definitely knew that for a fact.
She knows for a fact he's into Rarity.
He is definitely into Rarity. Definitely.
Oh god, it just turns into a fic where she's trying to convert him by bringing Rarity over.
Oh no, that would be awful.
Was that sarcasm?
I mean, I don't want that. But I guess you could make anything in a fan fiction not terrible. As long as they're making sure that it's not a good thing to do.
Okay, no, that is true. If it was framed as a bad thing, that could make a good fic. But you're very uncomfortable at the same
You
time.
need to write it very well for that.
Mm-hmm.
Her trip down memory lane ended quickly when Twilight noticed she was already home, and in record time, too. Opening the door, she placed her luggage nearby and was relieved to see that the house was spotless.
At least Spike didn't throw a party in here. Not like that one time Apple Bloom tried throwing one when the rest of her family went out of town for a whole day. That was a night even Discord said had too much chaos.
I like to imagine Apple Bloom grows up to be a huge partier. Like
Yeah.
Pinkie Pie.
That was in her thoughts, by the way. It doesn't say that, but that was in her mind.
If
So
only
perhaps,
we could just like
perhaps
turn
we
on
could
an
put
echo
an
real quick
echo.
too.
Spike, I'm home early.
Shouted Twilight, expecting a reply, but there wasn't any. Curious, she looked in the kitchen and other rooms on the first floor, but there was no sign of the teenage dragon.
Spike? He must be upstairs in his room, probably sleeping in again, as usual.
Deciding it wouldn't hurt to check up on him, Twilight went up the stairs quietly, just in case he was taking a nap. When she reached the final step, she saw that his door was closed, and so she slowly opened it, only to freeze right in place when she looked inside Spike's room. Spike wasn't alone. He was on his bed, with a stallion that she quickly recognized as Thunder Lane's younger brother, Rumble. And they were kissing! Not just a peck on the cheek, this was a full-blown, lip-to-lip kissing that she had seen her parents and brother and sister-in-law do.
All of them together.
As if... Oh, no. I was going to say as if she didn't do it herself yet. But that makes it all the worse.
Sorry.
Twilight didn't know how long she stood there as the blissfully unaware couple continued their makeout session. Twilight didn't even take a single breath of air. She was too stunned by the fact that Spike, who she had no hint of being gay, was making out with a boyfriend she never knew existed. Eventually, Spike opened one of his eyes and also froze after leaping back on the bed away from the stallion. Rumble was confused by the sudden end to their kiss until he too saw Twilight and blushed, equally horrified that they had been caught. There was an awkward silence in the air until Twilight finally managed to find her voice.
Spike! What's going on?
I can, muttered Spike, looking away from Twilight. She stepped forward with worry when she noticed tears beginning to form in his eyes. I thought you weren't coming back for 3 more days.
I found the time to come back early.
Whispered Twilight, trying to force her brain to wake up and analyze the situation. She had come home and found out that Spike,
who she had known for 16 years and cared for all that time, was making out with a stallion. She tried to think of some sign of this in her recent memories, anything to indicate that Spike was actually gay. She remembered their time at Hot Topic picking out pink teas. All she could do was wonder if all those times of trying to impress Rarity were fake. Did he even have a crush on her to begin with? Shut up, Twilight. When did he start feeling that he was gay? Was this just a phase or the real thing?
I think that Twilight, being strictly bibliosexual, would find any sort of romance confusing.
True. She's like, that's not a book. How are you doing that?
Too many questions.
Thought Twilight, as she realized there was one thing she had to do. Talk to Spike. Alone.
Rumble, right?
Said Twilight, getting his attention as she gave him a nervous smile.
I'm sorry, but I need to talk to Spike alone.
Rumble looked at Twilight, then at a still, shaken Spike, before standing up, tall, with a determined look on his face. Twilight was surprised by the challenging look he was giving her, as if he was daring her to do something bad to him.
No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that.
Wait, did you do that for Rumble before?
No, I did it for, what's his name? Soren.
Oh, God, that's right, in the You Two Are What, right?
Yeah.
God.
This has a lot of resemblance to You Two Are What.
True.
Let's see how it fares against it. What's the straightest voice I could do? Let me think here.
Deep, gruff Southern. Then again, it might get into Brokeback Mountain territory.
Nah, anything you can say to him, you can say to the both of us.
Is that like German or French?
I was trying to do French, but you're right, it does sound a bit German.
Kind of reminded me of Edna Mode.
Rumble.
Spike reached out and grabbed his hoof, making him look in the eyes. Giving him a gentle smile, Spike whispered,
It's okay. I need to do this. It was bound to get out anyway.
But
I'll be fine. Trust me.
Biting his lip, Rumble looked at both Spike and Twilight before he sighed and nodded. He leaned down and kissed Spike on the lips with a quick peck.
no matter what happens, I'll come back tomorrow. If you need me, come straight, laugh track, to me, okay? I love you.
I love you too.
Oh, hold on. I got a knock at the door. I'll be right back.
Oh no, it's Twilight. She's gonna find out about us. Okay. And now with Ross gone, we get to talk about LGBT topics. Did you know? 1 in 10 children will turn out to be gay. I'm pulling this stat completely out of thin air, but it's more of wishful thinking. I'm hoping we can up it to that by the end of this year.
You
with
hear
your
that,
donations
everybody?
to
That's the sound of my AC coming on.
Yo! Your AC's fixed?
Oh, no, it was never out. We just have
okay.
to save money. What were you talking about with our lovely listeners? What were you talking about?
LGBT topics?
Wizzy, you know we swore never to talk about that. We're supposed to remain apolitical.
I love you too.
Said
Aw.
Spike, squeezing the hoof for a second before letting go.
This'll
Rumble
never
made-
last. Teenage romance
What?
never does.
It could last. I mean, it's gay teenage romance. That all. Oh, wait. Rumble made his way to the door before he left. Oh, wait. Before he left, he looked at Twilight with a glare,
If you help him.
staring at him in shock before he left without another word. Twilight couldn't help but wonder why in Equestria Rumble would think she was going to hurt Spike. Oh, yeah, homophobia, what's that?
Hey, it's Equestria. Homophobia doesn't exist. That's like
True.
not a thing here.
Then how come the slur Philly Fooler exists? Colt Cuddler, huh?
That's a good point. All I want is to talk to him.
She just wants to...
She just wants to talk to him about this cool rock she found.
She's like, I have to talk to him alone. So there's this cool rock.
They're called the Beatles.
She wished she'd had more time to prepare for all this, but she was going to have to improvise. She thought about all the awkward moments she had to have with Spike in the past, from training him to use a toilet to teaching him the birds and the bees. It all seemed like picking flowers compared to what they were going to talk about now.
How do you even prepare for something like this? That was in her mind, by the way.
Yeah, imagine she says that out loud. Deciding it was pointless to delay this any further than it already had been, Twilight walked over to the bed and plopped down right next to Spike, who still refused to look at her. He did flinch when she wrapped her wing around him and whispered.
How long?
Letting out a deep sigh, he asked.
How long have I been with Rumble, or how long have I been gay?
Both, but I guess we can start with the latter. Also, would you look at this cool rock I found?
She's trying to find a way to get that in.
How long do you think this rock has been a rock?
How long?
Honestly, I've only come to realize it in the past 3 years,
answered Spike, shoulders sagging.
But what about your crush on Rarity?
Asked Twilight, pointing it out. Okay, I also have a crush on Rarity, so that's another part.
Who doesn't? It's literally impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Has that always been fake?
Not entirely.
Spike shook his head and covered his face.
It's difficult to explain, all right? Remember how I always tried to be as tough as the guards back at the castle before we moved to Ponyville? I always looked up to them, acted like them, wanted to hang out with them because they were so cool. Like they were everything you wanted to be as a real man. He then looked Twilight in the eyes, a small, sad smile accompanying him. But the one thing that they always had that I didn't were mare friends, or at least girls who were attracted to them. They looked so happy having such pretty ladies after them that I decided I wanted one too, to feel just as happy. I just needed to find the most beautiful of them all.
So when we met Rarity,
said Twilight,
I picked her because any pony, straight or not, can see how amazing she looks. I thought I had struck gold, and so I decided to woo her and make her my mare friend. Granted, it made me look more like a love-struck puppy, the way I kept acting.
Spike rubbed the back of his neck, blushing. Twilight couldn't help but giggle. His actions all those years ago were really quite cute. Spike then sighed again. But over time, I didn't feel anything from this crush of mine, so I tried harder and harder, but nothing happened until he brought his knees up and hugged himself.
Until the Equestria Games 3 years ago.
You mean Spike's best moment, baby? Hell yeah.
Was that a
This
big thing
dude
for him?
fried a fucking this dude completely destroyed an ice cloud. It was awesome.
An ice cloud?
Yeah. They were playing a rousing game of in the equestrian games, they were playing a rousing game of shoot the ice arrow at the target, as you do. And the one who gets the target the most frozen is the winner. But somebody tripped, and the ice arrow flew all the way up to a cloud that it hit, and it turned the cloud into ice. And so Spike leaped on everybody's back and just fire breathed that shit. And he melted the cloud, becoming, once again, the savior of the Crystal Empire. Spike the brave and glorious.
So, it was like gonna crush people?
Yep.
Dang.
They were going to die if not for him. He's also the reason why they killed Sombra the first time, by the way.
What?
Yeah.
What did he do?
Well, in the Crystal Empire, Twilight was trying to get the Crystal Heart so that they could stop Sombra, or something like that, and she was trapped by Sombra, and Spike through the whole episode was like, nope, I'm not doing anything, because Twilight says that she needs to do this by herself. But of course, Spike, being the best person ever, did come with her anyways, and Twilight was like, Spike, you gotta bring that heart to Princess Cadence. And so Spike grabbed the heart and ran out of the tower that they were on, and everybody was looking at it, and he said, "I've got the crystal heart." And now the crystal heart is like something of ancient legend. Everybody loves that thing in the Crystal Empire. It's a very important artifact, and it is very powerful because it is one of the few things that manages to kill someone in the show. So yeah, he, through a series of events, he trips and falls, and Shining Armor throws his wife to catch Spike. In a,
Throws Cadence?
yeah, sort of a Bob throw me kind of moment. And yeah, then they get the Crystal Heart to where it needs to be. It powers up all the Crystal Ponies' magic, and it blows up Sombra. That's how Spike became Spike the Great and Glorious. The Brave and Glorious,
Wow.
Great and Glorious, whatever his name is. He's all those things to me.
True hero. And yet, Twilight still gets more glory.
Not in the Crystal Empire, she doesn't. They don't know her name.
Really?
I don't actually know if that's a fact. They probably know who Twilight is, but they praise Spike even more. Heck, I think they praise Spike even more than Cadence, and she rules the place.
Dang. I would too, though. Spike's pretty great.
Spike
I mean,
is
Cadence
the
is
best.
fine, but she's kind of bland compared to Spike.
Anyways, yeah, I just had to get all that out there because I realized we were 30-something minutes into this episode about Spike, and I haven't even mentioned how much I love Spike yet. He's so
Well,
awesome.
after this fic, he's going to be Spike the Gay and Glorious. Twilight remembered that year. The games were held in Van Hoover. She and her friends all went to see them together. Now that she thought about it, she did recall Spike being a bit quiet during these games, as well as less interactive with the group. I saw this runner, an earth pony from Trottingham named Quick Trick, and when I did, I was mesmerized, whispered Spike, sighing like he had seen something out of a dream. I didn't know why I was staring at first. All I could think about was how handsome he was. I started to feel things that I hadn't felt before, like my body was on fire on the inside, but the burning was pleasurable. Watching him sweat as he ran made me sweat too.
Whew.
And when he won that gold medal, I think I was cheering louder than any pony else at that stadium. Twilight just sat there, focusing on Spike's story and reading his body language. It was clear that this was his first real attraction. And even
Wait
now,
a minute. They spelled gold medal METAL.
Ooh. Yeah, he just won some gold medal. It wasn't supposed to be symbolic or anything.
Just a shard of metal.
Yep.
In that case, it's kind of pointless to call it gold medal. That's just redundant.
True.
Anyways, please continue.
Yeah. It was clear that this was his first real attraction, and even now, despite having a cult friend, he was still attached to this famous athlete. Twilight was comforted by the fact that this behavior was no different from a normal teenager's. Then she felt momentarily horrified when she realized how much that comforting thought meant.
Did I just think that Spike was not normal? No, not like that. At least, not in an insulting way. I didn't just think that, right?
She pushed her thoughts aside and returned her attention to Spike. His blush grew redder and redder as he continued talking. I couldn't stop thinking about him. Even when we came home, he was in my dreams both day and night, until one day I woke up.
Due to Wizzy's aversion to reading sexually explicit content on the podcast, the next paragraph has been cut. If you'd wish to read it yourself, the link is one click away.
When I realized what I had done, you couldn't imagine what I felt. Shock, anger, confusion, muttered Spike, lowering his head. I cried a lot, trying to deny it. Even tried harder at wooing Rarity. Like if I could get her to love me, it could all go away. But no matter how many times I tried, I couldn't stop looking at stallions. I couldn't stop thinking about me kissing them or hugging them. I couldn't help it, Twilight. I like guys. I'm gay. He was sobbing now, like it was both a relief and a burden to speak about everything out loud. Twilight was prepared for this, and she quickly embraced the crying dragon, letting him sink his face into her chest to cry on. He sobbed there for a long time, damping her coat as she said nothing. just letting him let it all out while stroking his scaly back to soothe him. Slowly, Spike's crying came to a halt as he wiped his tears with a claw before taking a few deep breaths. "I'm sorry. If you're angry at me,"
Spike, why would I be angry at you?
asked Twilight, pressing a hoof against his cheek.
I admit I am a bit hurt that you couldn't trust me with this.
She bit her lip when she noticed him lower his gaze, as if he was getting scolded. She lifted his chin up and smiled.
But this doesn't mean that I hate you.
Really? You don't think I'm disgusting or want to throw me out?
"That's not what she said, Spike," asked Spike, his voice trembling. Twilight shook her head.
Why would you ever think that? Because you're gay? Spike, you're still the same baby dragon I raised ever since I was a filly. You're still the little brother I love. Nothing's changed, Spike.
She smiled and booped him on the nose.
Boop. Maybe a few things will be different because you like the same sex, but it doesn't mean I'll love you any less than I always have. Nothing ever will, Spike. We're family, and we always stick together.
At long last, a true smile appeared on Spike's face as a few more tears dripped down his cheeks. Sniffling, he asked,
You really mean it? You don't hate me?
Twilight kissed him on the forehead and wrapped her forelegs around him in a bone-crushing hug.
Never, you lovable dragon, you.
She could feel Spike finally relax in her embrace, like a weight had been lifted from him, and he could breathe once again. Twilight could also feel her own worries fade away as well. She had been nervous about how this was going to change both her and Spike, but now that she heard him, looked at him, comforted him, she realized nothing truly had changed. Straight or gay, he was still Spike. He was still her #1 assistant. He was still her little brother.
Why did you even think I would hate you, Spike?
Asked Twilight, who couldn't help but bite her lip at the thought. She would have thought Spike would have known better than to doubt her love for him, just like the time he ran away from home and all the other adventures they had been through together.
Was he really that worried?
Spike lowered his head again and muttered,
Because not every pony is like you, Twilight. There are ponies out there that look at individuals like me and see us as nothing more than abominations. Rumble,
Spike hesitated to speak, but Twilight put a hoof on his knee and motioned him to continue. Even if it was bad news, she wanted to know more about the young stallion that had stolen Spike's heart.
Rumble he's had to deal with such hatred from his own parents.
He rubbed his shoulder, while Twilight's mouth dropped in shock.
When he told his parents, they flipped, kicked him out, and disowned him like he wasn't their son anymore. Thunderlane was furious, and they all argued. His mom...
Spike shook his head while clenching his fist, fire breathing out of his nose.
His mom told him she wasn't going to have a...
Oh my god, I can't say that word. That's a slur. That's a slur. I can't say a slur. Alright.
His mom told him that she wasn't going to have a gay for a son. So
Perfect
she
save.
gave him a choice. Either he attended this camp that would cure him or to get out and never come back.
Twilight's hooves covered her mouth upon hearing this. She couldn't believe it. But upon learning this, she understood why Rumble was glaring at her when he left. He was worried she would do the same to Spike that his mother did to him.
What kind of camps are these?
Summer camps!
No!
Asked Twilight, although she was hesitant to learn something new for once. A stiff laugh escaped from Spike's lips before he answered in a somber tone.
From what Rumble told me, and from what I learned on my own, they're camps parents send their children to in order to cure the gay, but really, all they want is an excuse not to deal with the revelation that they're not getting grand foals, or maybe they actually believe in that stuff, I don't know.
Spike sighed before covering his face with his claw.
They force teens and kids there to accept that they have a disease and that they have to purge it from their minds so that they can be cured. They hurt them, Twilight. They beat them, spray them with water, lock them up in confinement with... This is a very detailed description. I mean, I don't know why I was expecting anything different, but they're detailing the description in conversion camps. Force them to read anti-gay propaganda, and when they come out, most are too scared to be gay anymore, or they end up self-destructing. Twilight felt the room get colder with each revelation that came out of Spike's mouth. She had heard of some ponies not talking kindly to those who were gay, but she never paid attention to it since, until now, it didn't seem so important to her. Jesus! You're supposed to lead the nation one day, Twilight. This is the kind of thinking that keeps conversion therapy legal in here. But with Spike now admitting he was gay, she growled and quickly hugged him again, like a mother bear protecting her cub.
I promise you right now, Spike, if any pony tries to do that to you, for whatever reason, I will do everything in my power to protect you and make them pay. I'll scorch all of Equestria if I have to.
She made a mental note to take a closer look at the social and political situation for homosexuals by the end of the day. With the particular note to ask Princess Celestia to send all the information she could. If such a thing was happening in Equestria, even if it was just by a small margin, then by the elements themselves, she was going to make sure it stopped dead in its tracks. She never liked getting into politics. What? She loves getting into politics.
No, she doesn't.
How do you become a ruler who hates getting involved in politics?
She hates it until the end of the series.
Really? I thought she was like all about fixing
Mainly
the
because
world.
she doesn't believe in herself.
How does that add up?
She just doesn't like getting into politics because she doesn't think she can do a good job in them.
Oh. That's fair. Even when she became a princess. But if it meant making the world safer for Spike, then she was willing to get involved.
How do you know so much about this?
Asked Twilight. Rumble told me about it. He and his brother are part of a group that helps homosexuals everywhere by raising awareness of the mistreatment we get. I don't
My
like them
man
using
Thunderlane
homosexuals in
being
that sentence.
awesome,
It just,
but I agree.
it sounds out of place. It sounds weirdly clinical.
Yeah, a little bit.
Answered Spike with a proud smile on his face. Despite what happened to him, he and his brother want to make sure that others don't suffer for being who they are. Wait, so his brother's also gay? Or is his brother just supporting?
I'm guessing that he's just supporting. Because Thunderlane loves the ladies.
Ooh!
And cooking, that's canonical.
Ooh!
Thunderlane sounds like a good brother,
said Twilight with a smile, happy that Rumble had at least one member of his family that loved him. Yeah, Thunderlane lost it with his parents that day they left. Said that if their parents were going to be that way, then they were going to lose 2 sons. They left Cloudsdale for good and settled here in Ponyville.
How could they disown him over something like this? They don't deserve to be parents,
muttered Twilight, her wings flaring out in anger. Her tone switched from disgust to sympathy as she noticed the worried look on Spike's face.
You really care about him, don't you? A filthy Pegasus like him.
Should have disowned him over that. Spike, blushing, smiled and nodded as he looked up and seemed to be in thought of the one who had stolen his heart. Twilight could see something familiar in Spike's eyes, a glittering spark that she had seen time and time again with Cadence and Shining Armor whenever they were around. It was the spark of love.
Leave.
Yeah, I do, answered Spike. He helped me come to terms with the fact that I was gay. Caught me staring at him and, well, one thing led to another. He's never rushed us in our relationship and always takes care of me. We've only been together for a year, but he's been the best thing that's ever happened to me.
He sounds like a good pony,
commented Twilight, making a mental note to invite Rumble to dinner sometime soon in order to get to know him personally.
And let him know that, even if he is a stallion, if he hurts Spike, I'll show him what it means to anchor an alicorn, sympathetic past or not.
What's up with them threatening each other?
It's a parent thing.
She's no parent.
It's a guardian thing, then.
A sudden thought soon came to her.
Oh no!
Oh no. A sudden thought soon came to her that made her gulp.
Spike, have you done it yet with him?
What? Twilight! Shouted Spike, shaking his head. No offense, but not talking about that with you.
Hey, you talked about other stuff with me.
Right? Like, what the heck? Why would you talk about that other stuff with her?
Just want you to know. Protection. Sorry, won't mention it again. I just thought I should know, you know?
Replied Twilight sheepishly. Spike rubbed his temples. Right. Can we just forget that part of the conversation?
I agree.
Can we just forget, like, those two parts of this one fic?
Well, our audience is gonna forget that for sure.
Oh, yeah. Twilight giggled before she asked one final question that lingered in the back of her mind.
Do you plan on letting every pony else know? Like our friends? Oh, I already told them. Years ago, in fact.
So much easier than Twilight, you know, with Twilight's strict religious history. Actually, she probably is more religious than most of the ponies in Equestria, isn't she?
I don't believe so.
She worships Celestia more than most.
Yeah, but she's also on the same tier as Celestia. Like, I don't know.
She would not put herself there.
Yeah, but Celestia sure did.
Did she?
Yeah.
Wait, the same tier?
Yeah. Celestia crowns Twilight ruler of Equestria in the end. And at least from the ending of season 3 on, she considers her equal.
Okay, in terms of power and capability, she's probably equal, but I still want to see an episode where she's like, you know, I am as powerful as Celestia. You know, I haven't actually watched the show, but still.
Okay, this has gotten away from where we started with that. So the point is, I don't see her as being more religious. In fact, I see her as being less religious than the others. Twilight doesn't think that she has a soul.
But she knows that every other pony does. She's just still down on herself.
Well, that is Twilight.
Once again, Spike was quiet as he stared at the floor, deep in thought about the question Twilight had given him. After a few minutes, he closed his eyes and answered, I want to, but not yet. I just told you, and I'm glad you took it well, but I want to wait a bit longer before we tell the rest of the gang, and only if Rumble agrees to it. Okay, you could come out as gay without having to tell them about Rumble.
Yeah.
That's up to you, Spike.
Pretty easy, Spike.
Yeah, it's so easy to come out. Why did it take him 3 years?
Yeah,
right?
come on. Wuss.
Nodding, Twilight wrapped a wing around Spike and nuzzled him.
Of course. Whatever you two decide on, I'll support you all the way.
Twilight, thank you, whispered Spike, smiling as wide as he could. I was afraid the worst would happen if you found out, but I'm glad it didn't. I'm sorry I didn't trust you.
It's okay, Spike. I know this couldn't have been easy for you.
Twilight got off the bed and smiled at him.
Why don't you go find Rumble and let him know he doesn't have to worry anymore? I'll go pick up a pizza and the two of us can spoil ourselves while I tell you about my trip and this cool-ass rock I found.
Speaking of cool-ass rocks, can I have gems with it?
That's a coincidence. Wow, I didn't even read that.
Asked Spike, his tongue sticking out with drool on the edge.
Of course.
God, imagine having to pay for that kind of appetite.
I know.
Oh boy, you got it. Extra cheese on my half,
shouted Spike as he rushed out of the room. The sound of the front door slamming echoed across the halls. Twilight smiled and shook her head, pleased that everything had worked out. She had learned a few new things about Spike, but in the end, it didn't matter. They were still a family. Nothing had changed. He's not gay. I'm in denial now. It just ends on nothing had changed, and that is
Nothing
the end of that story.
had changed.
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Overall, I think this was a pretty nice story. It had a nice message. It taught a nice lesson. Bit in your face, but
Yeah, a
you
bit.
know, I'm always in the mood for a gay coming of age story.
Yeah, apparently with this author's note, he's not homosexual himself, but he has many gay friends
What?
and is fully in support of gay rights.
He
His-
wrote the word. He wrote the F slur. He can't do that.
Yeah, not the best idea, but it was in 2013. 14.
It's a
2014.
freaking fanfiction story. I wouldn't care. But he should have put a warning. That's what I'm upset
Yeah.
with, you know.
I
There should have been a lot
completely
more
agree with that.
warnings.
What I like as well is that he is a devoted Roman Catholic, at least of the writing of this. I don't know if he changed that
What?
at all.
That is nice.
Yep. I really like it when Christians come out as supporting the LGBTQ because there are not enough of us.
Yeah, especially when you are involved in like a religious community, it could be difficult to even be in support of something like that. So it's nice when people are like openly saying I'm Christian and I'm either queer or an ally or something.
Yeah. Aside from that, though, good story, I think. Wow, he's had a whole 100 stories. 100. Good stuff.
Bye.
I'm recording.
Whoa, that's so weird you saying it this time.
Oh, it's wacky. It's wacky season.
Aw, man, wacky season, aka Pride Month.